Well, the way we did it's actually pretty unique. You can find some pictures laying around of it somewhere. So the way his truck was set up, the floorboard would unbolt, the whole transmission tunnel would unbolt out of it, and we put a snatch block to his cage inside,
That's
ran a winch
awesome.
line down, wrapped it around the transmission. We went underneath, pulled all the cross members, had this humongoid bottle jack that Vern had, holding the ass end of the whole transmission up, the doubler and
That's
everything. And
awesome.
we
That's awesome.
basically suspended it from the cage with a winch and pulled it back. And there was three of us underneath there, like holding it while Dave reached in there and changed the throwout bearing, and then we winched it back up and slid it all back together.
So welcome back to the Dirt Drive podcast. As always, I'm Trevor. Today we've got with us Tom Sylvester.
Yo.
And Tim Germanario.
What's up, guys?
We've got PJ sitting here with us. You may hear him pop in every once in a while.
Hola.
And then we have a very special guest today, Robert Keller, who has been on Ultimate Adventure 4 times now, if I'm correct.
Correct. It's 4 times.
Yep. Yeah. So we're going to be talking to him about his experience with that, because it's always been one of our dreams to hopefully one day get on Ultimate Adventure. So Robert, why don't you go ahead and start us off, give us a little bit of background about how you got into off-roading and then eventually into UA.
If you want to go back in the Wayback Machine, my first off-road rig was an 82 K10 on 38-inch groundhogs.
Wow.
So you've always been a full-size guy.
Somehow that happened, and I
Yeah.
don't know how. But that's how I started, and that was probably, I don't know, around year 2000.
Okay.
It's a giant piece of crap. Like, there was no windows in it. You
Nice.
started with a screwdriver, but it was street legal.
That's awesome.
What state was that?
Yeah.
It's in Florida.
Makes
Yeah, 'cause
sense.
Florida and street legal is pretty loose.
Yeah,
There's that.
That's where you are now. You're in Florida, right?
Correct. I
Okay.
am in
Okay.
Florida.
So you had the that truck. So were you a mudder? I guess Florida's a lot of mud.
Initially, yes, because, well, that's what we had, because then I was in South Florida too, which it's all water and mud.
Yeah.
Initially, that's how it started, and then I realized that I hate doing maintenance on anything after you run through mud and water all the time.
Our kind of guy.
I thought
Yeah.
it was just
Yeah,
me.
it didn't take very long to realize that when you have to, put wheel bearings in something, every 3 months, and you're constantly changing the oil in your front and rear end. So
Yeah.
that got old quick.
And expensive.
Yes.
So being a South Florida boy, how'd you find like rock crawling, overlanding stuff then?
Well, so then, we go to the whole story here. So after that piece of crap truck, I got rid of it, got a full-size Jimmy, had it, and I started doing trail rides. I drove up from South Florida up to Ocala National Forest
Okay.
a couple of times a year, and I got to where I liked doing trail riding, stayed out of the water and mud. Did that for a while. And around 2008, I know I'm giving you weird history lessons
Oh, you
here.
good, man?
Around 2008, they redid how they did the trail systems at all the national forests. And it went from being normally open to normally closed unless it was posted as open.
Okay.
So it shut down a bunch of the trails, a bunch of other crap. So I sold it and got out of that off-roading altogether.
Okay.
Then fast forward, I got back into it again. I don't remember exactly what years, got back into it. And eventually I had a YJ, built a YJ, typical spring over, 3/4 ton axles. And out of the blue, I got invited.
The YJ you
a
posted
guy-
on your Instagram the other day that you just got the memory that you just sold it, right?
Correct.
Yeah, that thing was
I actually
sweet.
didn't sell it. There's more to that, but
There's a friend swap deal.
let's just say there was divorce involved.
Oh, got it. That's how I got a 71 Camaro.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
the guy had to sell it or he was gonna get divorced.
Yeah, well, I did get divorced, and that kind of went with it. So
Okay.
that went away. But initially, that same YJ I posted was on spring over and a lot taller.
Okay.
Well, I got invited out of the blue to go to a trip, actually in your all's neck of the woods, up to Virginia and West Virginia for a week-long little adventure.
Where at?
Never done it before in my life. Took a leap of faith, loaded the thing up, trailered it up there, and I went with a group for an entire week. And we actually ended at Big Dogs.
That's our home. That's our stomping grounds. So
Yep,
actually,
right there at the Cove.
our good friends
Yep.
own Big Dogs, and we're actually all guides for Big Dogs. That's wild. What a small world.
Yep.
So
That
did,
was like 2014 when I was there.
did you ever meet Big John?
I don't really remember.
Okay, Big John
We
and our
were up
buddy
there.
Greg were that around back then. Greg had a Comanche, which is actually Trevor's Jeep now, that he was
Gotcha.
wheeling. That's so
Now,
cool.
oddly enough, I remember our trail guide was a woman in a TJ that had creepy crawlies on it.
Silver TJ.
Why I remember that? I don't remember the color, but I remember it was a TJ with creepy crawlies. Creeper crawlers or whatever. You know, the Maxxis tire.
Yeah.
And why I remember that, I don't know. But that was our trail guide when we were there.
Nice.
So that's
it-
what really broke me into the adventure wheeling thing.
that's so cool that you got your start adventure wheeling with a trip that ended at the Cove, is which where we started
Yeah.
our wheeling adventure just
Yeah.
together.
And that was not through UA? That was not like a Motor Trend thing?
No, it was not. So the guy that invited me, he was on UA in 2011.
Okay.
And he got addicted to the same thing. He started a group that did week-long adventures.
Okay.
And he invited me out of the blue off of Facebook if I wanted to go with him. And that was a trip to Virginia and West Virginia.
Nice.
And that's how it started. And I did that whole trip and kind of got addicted to it. And I've been watching UA for years anyway. I came home and built a truck that went on UA after I came home. And I applied, and the truck wasn't even finished. And I applied anyway. And then the next year, which is 2015, I went with the same group again.
Okay.
And
So
we
you went 2 years
wheeling.
back to back in 14 and 15.
The years I went was 15 to 16, were the
Okay.
2
Okay.
years that I did UA. But in 2015, I finally took the truck out for the first time on a week-long trip, and I got the call from Rick Payway that I was in to
That's
go
awesome.
on UA that year.
Nice.
That's
While I
literally
was on
literally
the
a
trip.
dream. Literally a
Yeah.
dream.
I couldn't hardly believe it's like, how in the world am I getting a call to go do this while I'm actually going doing this? Besides the fact that I could never imagine getting selected to do it in a truck I literally slapped together in 6 months.
Yeah.
Well, that makes me feel better about
So
my
what was
build.
your first UA rig then?
The same GMC that I took this year.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Because you had a different. Was there another full size truck that you had? Did you have a Ford at one point?
Last year I was a co-driver in a Ford.
Okay. So that's the picture that's the other pictures that I saw. So tell
It's an
is
inside Ford?
that your first GMC that you had that you were wheeling on groundhogs, and or is
No,
that a
it's
different
not.
truck? So what's your
Different truck.
what's your setup in your truck now? Is it small block Chevy, turbo 400?
Currently it's an 8.1 SM465 4-speed 203 205 doubler, 60 front, 14 rear with a Grizzly and a Spartan.
Okay.
How does that do going down the highway at 60 miles an hour?
60, hell, I drive that thing 80.
Damn.
All
So I
right.
guess
How-
we're really
that,
good.
that does really well at 60 then, doesn't it?
Because we see
Yes.
I always see the abuse that these UA rigs get, and I'm
Yeah.
like, how the hell do they still drive down that highway? Like, that's the most amazing thing to me.
Well, you know, one of the real trick to it is they call it an anvil. So you need to build, if you build an anvil for UA, you don't worry about it.
Yeah.
So you just build ridiculously strong, simple stuff, and you can beat the snot out of it, and then you check a few nuts and bolts, the next day you're running down the road 70
Yeah.
mile an hour, no big deal.
So how was your intro into the UA, your first trip back in 15? Was it like, were you starstruck by all the people there? I mean, because you've obviously been watching it forever.
Yeah. The first year is very odd. I don't know if odd's the right way to put it. It's like you don't really know what's going on. You know what's supposed to be happening, but you don't really understand the whole concept of it. You're just trying to keep up the whole time. And then you got these people that you're afraid to talk to
Oh yeah.
because you think they're, all high and mighty, super special celebrity people. And then as the week goes on, you get more used to it and get talking to them. It's okay. So it was a little rough the first year. I wouldn't say rough, but it was.
You feel out of place, like you don't belong because you're the new guy.
You get imposter syndrome.
Yeah, kind of, yeah. It just kind of feels weird. You're there, and it's like, am I really here with these people? And what am I doing here with this piece of crap truck that I slapped together?
So
and you're like,
Going with Ian Johnson.
yeah. So 4 different trips. I would imagine that's got to be a fair bit of the country as far as where you've wheeled. Where's your favorite wheeling that you've done with UA or any of your other trips?
still southeast. So
Okay.
Tennessee,
Okay.
Kentucky,
I'll see that's
Alabama.
Well, yeah. That's
yeah.
where the last trip was down
Yeah,
southeast,
it
right?
was.
yeah.
Yeah.
Are you
We
allowed?
went to places. We went to places that I've already been before.
Are you
on
are
other
you allowed to
trips.
tell us where it was this year? Or
Well, yeah,
or do we-
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they've announced everything.
Did they?
People were live
yeah.
streaming from the event.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Keep up.
Oh yeah, just
The
run a
only-
business.
The only secretive part about that whole thing is if you do new live streams, you can't tell anybody where you're at.
Yeah.
Right.
But you can tell anybody where you're at as long as it's the next day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So say like the first day we wheeled Hawk Pride in Alabama.
Nice.
You can say whatever you want. Well, the next day when you hit the road and you're down the road, you can post and say whatever you want about how we were at Hawk Pride. It's no big deal.
Oh, okay.
As long as you're
They
done.
just don't want
Yeah.
anybody to know where we're at while we're
Currently.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't want fans showing
Yes.
up during the event.
Yeah, crashing the party.
Yes.
We had some intel that they were going to be ending at the Cove this year, and since we're tied in so
Rumored.
well, yeah. So since we're tied in so well with the Cove, the McDowell brothers who run it, Lisa and Chris from Big Dogs were like, hopefully we're invited out to go hang out with the guys from UA.
It's like I'm gonna leave my junk together just in case.
But yeah, 'cause that's what they're avoiding. Is it still Vern Simmons that's putting it all together, or is it Christian Hazel?
Okay, the way it currently is Christian Hazel is the main guy that he's in charge of it.
Okay.
But who plans all the routes and does all the mapping and leads it is Trent McGee.
Okay, Trent McGee is the name I was looking for.
Mm-hmm.
So and that's the super secretive part. You're told where the starting line is, and that's all the information that you get.
You get a little more information than that after you're actually in.
Okay.
So you'll find out the actual start location about a month out. You'll
Okay.
know where you're starting. And then later on, they'll start telling you places like trailer drop locations and stuff like that. And then farther along, they'll give you hotel information of where to book hotels.
Oh, so it's
So-
you book your own hotels, you show up, and it's on you for all
Correct.
that stuff. Okay.
Yep.
I guess with that many people, how many rigs are there a year? Because it seems like it's getting more.
Usually it's 20. They keep it about 25.
Okay.
Ooh,
That's a big number
yeah, it's
though.
a big group.
good chance to get it
That's
in.
not counting like they have a Cameron van that runs around and stuff
Yeah, the
like that.
the infamous Quigley van
Yeah.
shot from this year. If it
There's 2 Quigley vans. So the one Quigley van is Tiger. That's the green one that usually gets all 4 tires off the air sometime before the week's over. That's
Yeah.
Tiger. So they are an official sponsor now for drive shafts.
okay.
So that's their end. But Quigley for years has provided UA with another van to haul the film crew around in, and they've always done
Yep.
it just as they just do it.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
it
nice.
wasn't anything official or anything else, but every year they provided a van and a driver to drive the film crew around.
So nice of them.
That's awesome. So have you made any friends that you keep in contact with? I guess you're so let's go back to your first trip. So you got the call for that trip. I just got lost
In 15.
in 15.
Yeah.
Correct.
You did that trip, ran around. The second trip, were you expecting a call when you got invited the next year?
No. Like, I would never think that I was going to be the returning reader because on the first trip, I was not very spectacular. I just kind of kept to myself. I wheeled very conservatively the entire time. And I was just there basically to take it all in and survive the week.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, cool. I did it. There's my one time, I got to do UA, didn't think anything of it. And then when I got the call to come the second time, I was shocked. Vern actually called me and goes, will you be interested in coming back? And I'm like, yeah.
Duh.
Is that even really a question?
Yeah.
But then the next statement was before you say yes or no, let me tell you where it's going to start.
Oh, so you know what to
And-
kind of expect. Kind of.
Well, I knew how far I was going to have to drive.
Yeah.
Yeah, there
Well,
it
because
is.
you drive your rig out there, or do you trail your rig out there and trying to figure out how to get your tow rig back to the end point?
Well, for me personally, I usually drive mine because I'm an idiot.
No, you like the party.
Yeah, you're our people. This week, we'd like to thank our partner over at Rocktrix Wheels. Rocktrix has been independently manufacturing parts and accessories for the off-road industry for well over 10 years. Rocktrix offers the best, high-quality, high-strength aluminum wheels for all your off-road needs. You can use Dirt Drive 5, that's Dirt Drive, the number 5, for 5% off your entire order on the website. You can find their website linked in today's show notes. Thank you, Rocktrix, for supporting today's show, and thanks to all of our listeners for supporting companies that support us.
But the second year was started, it was in California.
Okay.
And we started in Southern California and ended in Northern California. The last trail hit was Fordyce.
Oh,
So that year I trailered because I was kind of in a time crunch and didn't want to have any kind of worries about getting there. So I trailered that year.
Well,
Yeah.
getting there or getting back home. After 7 days of wheeling through California, I imagine your rig has to be pretty beat up.
I bent my cross members, so I had a dry shaft vibration.
nice.
But other than that,
That's a
it
comfort
wasn't that
thing.
Bad.
Yeah. Damn.
Yeah,
So,
it could have survived.
because I know you said the first time you got the call was you were on like a week-long off-roading trip already.
Mm-hmm.
So how did your preparation change from your first year going on it to then your fourth year going on it? Obviously, you're cooking all your own meals and everything like that. How did the planning change from year to year?
Well, after doing this for so long, because besides UA, every year I still do a week-long adventure trip every
nice.
year anyway. So generally what you really learn is you just bring less and less stuff with you. As silly as that sounds.
Yeah, we've definitely learned that over the years.
Yeah.
So like the first year you brought all this stuff, next year you brought a little less, and every year I bring less and less stuff with me. So it really turns into that, and the fact that the truck is set up to do week-long trips so often.
Yeah.
Other than doing basic maintenance before I left and changing tires on it, I could have literally changed the oil and put gas in it and tossed my camping gear in the back and went, because the truck's always in the same preparation.
That's
all the
awesome.
time.
Nice.
We live such different lives.
I envy that level of
that's-
preparation.
Yeah, that's the peak of overlanding off-roading.
Oh, we're going wheeling next weekend? Let me order my drive shaft.
Yeah. What?
You also got to understand that this truck has been together since 2015.
Yeah.
So, and nothing's majorly changed on it other than an engine swap, and I installed a doubler. Other
Okay.
than that,
Those
the
are
truck
kinda
has not
major.
changed.
I don't know. So those are major, but those are like weekend projects, because I imagine it's still
True.
carbureted, right?
No, it's not carbureted.
It's fuel
No, it was
injected?
carbureted.
8.1. He says the 8.1.
The A1.
8.1 liter.
Oh, the 8.1 liter. Okay.
Yeah, Tim, listen and pay
Okay.
attention.
But yeah,
Jeez.
That's why he has to write everything down.
Yeah.
That's why I keep a notepad. So it's the A1.
ADD is
But
strong with this
that's
one.
that's not a hard swap. That's an LS swap. That's a weekend swap.
Actually, it's easier than an LS swap.
How does it get easier than an LS swap?
Okay, let me do a little small indication on how 8.1 works. So an 8.1 is a big block Chevy with LS style fuel injection on top of it.
Yeah.
The LS motor, the 8.1 engine, has the bosses on the side of the block for an LS style motor mount or a traditional big block / small block Chevy motor mount on it.
So you don't have to change the
And-
motor mounts at all on the frame.
No.
That's some big brain action.
That's
right
some
there,
real
as
big
PJ
brain
was
action.
saying.
That's awesome.
Only thing
That's
I
called
had to
thinking
do-
ahead.
Only thing he had to do was notch the cross member because the oil pan's great big in the front, and one corner I had to notch the cross member, and I had to make some headers fit. Other than that, it bolts right up.
I
That's
don't
awesome.
know if we can really consider that a project because I thought the point of a project was to make it as hard as possible on
Yeah,
yourself
if you don't-
to finish it.
If you don't throw a wrench, is it even a project car? I mean, on that same note, like, do they do anything for you in the prep aspect of it? Like is anything provided, or are you entirely on your own? They're just guiding you through the route.
Okay, as a reader showing up, you're pretty much on your own for all your expenses and everything else.
Okay.
Now, where it helps out is the sponsors will usually be pretty generous if you need anything.
Okay.
Okay.
And when I say pretty generous, some of them are really generous if you want to read between the lines on that.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, going into your third and fourth year, you got invited. Did you get invited back your fourth year? Or did you just kind of? You said you're kind of the. Would you call yourself the bastard child or something like that?
Weasel.
The weasel.
The weasel.
Really need to start taking notes.
I do. I need notes.
The
So-
ADD is strong with us.
So how'd you
Same
weasel?
thing, but different.
How'd you weasel your way into a third and fourth year?
Okay, third year was a friend of mine in West Virginia got invited as a reader in his
Okay.
truck.
Okay.
And he needed a co-driver. And when we were talking about it, and he's on one of our little week-long adventure trips, we're talking about it. I go, if you want to apply, he goes, I will be your co-driver. And another buddy of him was on UA, and another guy that was there was also on UA before.
So
We're
your
also
little your little week long adventure crew is like UA cronies almost.
No, not really.
Not officially.
One of them-
Yeah.
yeah, one of the guys that's been going on some of our trips the last couple of years is a Coroni now.
Okay.
Okay.
But some of the other ones have been UA alum, like they've been on UA before.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
So we told him, I go, if you're going to go and apply, if you want to make your life easier as your first time going, take somebody that's been there before so they can help you and tell you what to expect and what to do. And it's a little easier than being completely lost and dumbfounded like me and my buddy Jack was the first
Yeah.
time we ever went.
Yeah.
That's where the
how I
fun
weaseled
is.
into that, and I got to go as his co-driver.
Nice.
And then the next year is that really when the weaseling started?
This was extra weasel because well,
And that
so-
we're talking about this year, the trip that just wrapped up a month and a half ago.
it kind of fell in my lap, and I was not going to argue. So Bubba Rope is actually semi-local to me. Their office is 45 minutes from my house.
Oh, nice.
Oh, nice.
It's
Yeah.
local.
So they went in 2016, and they didn't return in 2017. It went back to Voodoo. Well, they came back again this year, and evidently the president of Bubba Rope contacted Harry Wagner, which is a friend of mine. He's a photographer and does freelance writing and everything. He's a really good photographer. So Harry suggested he contacted me because I was local and I've already been on UA and already knew what to expect. And lo and behold, I got an email out of the blue from Jim at Bubba Rope, asked me if I wanted to go to UA representing them. And of course that was, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you say no to that?
Yeah. That's,
Yeah. So that's how I got back. I got back as a sponsor. And I will say, out of all the different ways I've been so far, which is a reader twice, a co-driver once, and now a sponsor, if you can get the right sponsor gig, that's got to be probably the best one out of all of them.
nice.
Noted.
What makes that so much better?
Not to get too in depth into it, but it didn't cost me very much to go on the trip.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
I kind of gloss over everything for you.
Yeah. So going back to your first trip, because there's a lot of people who listen who know what UA is but don't know everything that goes into it. There's obviously a lot of minimum requirements that go into being able to apply to UA. So if you wouldn't mind, just kind of walk us through, what some of those are. Like, what does it take to get into and be able to apply to UA and actually be able to go on that trip?
There's the actual requirements, which is not that in depth. It's basically 35-inch minimum tire, front and rear locker, winch, and roll cage or roll bar,
Okay.
Yeah.
depending on if it's full body rig or not.
Mhm.
If it's a full body rig, you can get away with a good roll bar.
Okay.
in
Do the
its legal.
OE Wrangler roll bars count?
They'd probably want a little more extensive cage work on it.
Okay.
A couple bubblegum welds, we're good to go.
That's going to get into the next part about the requirements versus what it takes to probably actually get selected.
Yeah.
That's two different worlds.
True.
The rigs have definitely gotten crazier since it
Yeah, I
started.
mean, would you say that you probably have an easier time if like for someone like you who's been watching UA for a long time, do you have an easier time if you've got obviously somewhat more of a unique rig going into it? Like if you've got a rig that has never been on before, do they look for stuff like that, or are they just kind of picking at random more than anything else?
That's exactly what they're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
They want something that's different. And I hate to burst Jeep people's bubble on this.
It's not Jeeps. Yeah.
Yeah.
What
If you
about a
buy
Jeep
with-
Comanche? Because I don't know if anything like that's ever been on before.
Comanche might have a chance.
Yeah.
But any Jeep Wrangler, good luck.
yeah.
yeah.
Unless you're Ian.
Yeah.
Well, I
unless
was
you're
saying,
Ian Johnson.
what happens if there's not much Wrangler left
Like a stretched
Well-
YJ.
with 1 tons and a V8?
Yeah.
Well, a YJ might have a chance because they're getting old enough.
Yeah.
If it's anything like TJ, JK,
Yeah.
JL,
LJ.
Oh no, screw the JKs and the JLs. An LJ though, maybe an LJ with some JK,
Asking for a friend.
axles. Yeah, asking for a PJ.
Yeah.
it's possible, but if
Unlikely.
somebody
Got
else
it.
applies with something that's really odd and
Cool.
unique,
Yeah.
it's going to the bottom of the pile.
Yeah.
What's the coolest rig that you've been on the UA with?
Coolest looking, probably my first year is Bill showed up with a 46 Chevy truck.
That's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Well, there was a
There was a guy that had a Willys truck one
yeah, was
year.
it? Yeah. What was the truck this year? The purple one.
I thought it was gonna refill itself.
For one.
It was like an older 50s truck that was there. Saw a lot of videos of that.
Trying to think what older was.
You sure it
50s
was
that
actually
there.
UA?
I think it was UA.
Zuzu, fucking,
Oh,
the one that was painted like the mystery machine.
Oh yeah.
oh,
Oh.
yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
You know what we could do? We could just build a van.
Yeah. Yeah.
Solid axle swap and
Van's
Astro
been
van.
done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aw. What van was it?
Van's being done every year by
It
Quigley.
was
Yeah.
a Chevy G van.
The ice cream truck?
I don't know.
You got to lean into the
Yeah,
mic,
you may have
PJ.
to.
Was it the ice cream truck one?
Yep, the ice cream one. Travis.
Nice.
All right, so if you had to reapply as a reader, what would you build for next year to get yourself on?
Well, the thing is, as a reader, I'm pretty much SOL.
Yeah, if
But
if it was
if I was gonna
2014
build
and you were
something-
reapplying,
If I was going to build something from scratch, that's a tough call. It either has to be some kind of like older Willys style Jeep, or it's going to have to be something really unique. Maybe a TRAR, if you know what a TRAR is, a truck car.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
The-
it's
yeah,
something
there's-
that isn't.
There's videos
Yeah,
of that
you know, like
AMC
take a-
Eagle going around this
Yeah.
year. Yeah, like
exactly
like an
something
AMC
like
Eagle.
that. Or just build something you want anyway, like a mini truck on 1 tons, something like that, and just make it unique.
Yeah.
And also, I think sometimes, and I've been told by the guys before, they don't always look for the same thing every year,
yeah,
but
Yeah.
build it strong, and it does not need to be overly complicated. It can be super simple. And I think that's where a lot of people kind of overjudge on UA. They think it needs to be the biggest, baddest, latest of everything. And like this year, there was probably 4 or 5 at least that were leaf spring front and rear. And probably half of them, or probably
all you,
about a
bud.
third, were manual transmission.
okay.
Ooh. Okay.
Leaf springs are for
Yeah,
poor
I,
people.
I wheeled my first manual this year, and that's a completely different experience than automatic. I love my automatic, but wheeling a manual, just bombing down the trails in AK's Jeep was just something different, and I've never experienced before.
I'll still take my automatic.
Yeah.
The trick is though with a manual transmission, you have to have good gearing. If you
Yeah.
don't have good
Oh, yeah.
gearing, it is just a nightmare to
Mm-hmm.
wheel. But if you got good gearing, I will take a manual transmission over an automatic for most
Fair.
situations.
Yeah, your truck's a manual, isn't it?
Yeah, the
Yes.
465 or 56, whatever it was.
Yeah, you're better with
Yep.
the technical specs like that.
Yeah, that's
So going, because you've been on so many years, and obviously starting off as a reader, and now this last trip being a sponsor, and having that, sort of imposter syndrome a little bit. Do you find yourself, as the years have gone on, going up to the new guys who had never experienced it and kind of trying to bring them in, and kind of like you had that experience of, oh, I don't know how to talk to people. I don't want to go up to these guys. I feel a little, out of place here. Do you try and bring them in and give them that experience of like, no, you definitely belong here? How do you bring those new guys in and make them feel at home?
I try to talk to them, especially the readers, because I was a reader before.
Mm-hmm.
And this last time, Tim Jackson actually started a group message on Instagram where all the readers were on there, and I was in there too. And it helped because me and James Ryder, which was the returning reader this year, would tell these guys, they'd be nervous about what we need to bring, what we need to do that. And we'd just be like, listen, you don't need this, you don't need that.
yeah.
Don't worry about it. Just come, have a good attitude, and if something goes wrong, just deal with it and roll on with it, and don't let anybody even know you had a problem.
Yeah.
And
So
everything will be fine.
So like the repair aspect, have you ever had like a major breakage on the trail? Is the community really good at helping you get back up on your feet to get on the trail the next day?
Yes, but the way it also works is if you break down, the group's not stopping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen
That's
that.
what the cronies are for. They will have one of the cronies stop with you, and they will stay with you until you get it figured out, and then the crony knows where they're going and get you caught back up again.
Okay.
Okay.
But if you get like at camp at night or like at the hotel, depending on where you're at, you got a problem, there's always going to be somebody else there with you helping you.
Yeah.
To
Okay.
help.
So
It's not like everybody just walks away and go, well, I hope he gets that done.
Good
Yeah.
luck.
What's the wildest hotel parking lot repair that you've had to do or seen done on UA?
Me personally is last year, I got to pull a ZF5, a 203, 205 doubler out in a parking lot to change a throwout bearing.
Wow.
Ooh, that's
Yeah.
a big heavy.
It gets better. Guess what? It didn't fix the problem.
Oh no.
That's a lot of cast iron to come out of a truck.
Yes. Well, the way we did it's actually pretty unique. You can find some pictures laying around of it somewhere. So the way his truck was set up, the floorboard would unbolt, the whole transmission tunnel would unbolt out of it. And we put a snatch block to his cage inside.
That's
ran a
awesome.
winch line down, wrapped it around the transmission. We went underneath, pulled all the cross members, had this humongoid bottle jack that Vern had, holding the ass end of the whole transmission up, the doubler and everything.
That's awesome.
And
That's
we
awesome.
basically suspended it from the cage with a winch and pulled it back. And there was three of us underneath there, like holding it while Dave reached in there and changed the throwout bearing, and then we winched it back up and slid it all back together again.
So what did the problem end
That's
up being? Was it
wild.
like a 5-cent part on the external side?
It wasn't even anything to do with the clutch.
Oh.
No.
So long story short, his truck got this hellacious squeal, and evidently it's now going to be things of legend on UA because it was that bad.
Oh wow.
We going on the road and it'll be whistling, making this crazy noise, and we're trying to figure it out. Everybody's trying to figure it out. You're laying under it, doing things, trying to figure out what it is, and finally like it's got to be a throwout bearing. It's got to be a throwout bearing or something. So we changed it. It wasn't it. It ended up being the PCV hose was collapsing and whistling like a flute.
Oh. So it's super easy fix.
Yeah. So
Well, now you know how to change the transmission in a parking lot.
Yeah. So I was thinking it'd be like a rock stuck in a
Brake caliper
a brake
or something?
caliper.
Yeah.
I'm like, because that's usually our
Oh,
our whining whistling.
Yeah,
sound.
how many times has that happened to us?
All
at
the
Cove?
JK
Oh my
thing, though.
god.
So this noise was so deafening that people were avoiding being around us going down the road. It was that
Oh,
bad.
Wow.
Oh man.
I thought Dave was going to lose his crap and like drive us into a tree before it was over with. 'Cause it was pretty bad.
So, have you ever taken any crap from the hotels, like for oil spills, or you can't do that here?
Usually that's not the problem.
Uh oh.
Usually the problem is overflowing trash cans outside.
Oh, just
Oh yeah.
Lot of
spare parts.
cardboard.
Yeah.
Not so many spare parts, but let's just say somebody could probably make a lot of money recycling aluminum.
Oh yeah.
That was gonna be my next question. I debated on whether or not I should ask that one or
Yeah.
not.
Is it just like it's so? In the end, it's all being filmed, but it's just like another wheeling trip with your buddies.
Oh yeah, it's just like a wheeling trip with your buddies.
So-
Unless
so-
you've done it like
Excellent.
twice.
Oh yeah. So in that sense, what's your favorite trail snack?
How many coolers do you bring?
Yeah.
I could bring a fridge. I'm a little bougie like that.
Oh, you're speaking my language now, Robert.
Yes, I have a fridge, but don't get too crazy about it because it cost me $300 off Amazon.
Hey, that's like
yeah.
our
Hey,
fridge.
the Massimo, man.
Yeah, we got one from
special,
Costco.
baby.
So I carry that, and like on a UA trip, I used to always pack pretty good on food, but anymore you don't hardly bring anything with you except for water, soda, and some adult beverages.
Road sodas.
No, there's no
never.
such thing like that on the trails, Robert. What are you talking about?
But in all honesty, you really live off during that.
Beef jerky.
Gas station food.
Yeah, there it
um,
is.
Random restaurants if you get there on time at a hotel night.
Yeah. So we're driving across country to SEMA on next Saturday.
Yeah.
And we're going to be living that life is
Yeah.
gas station food and
Heating up the burritos
heating
on
up
the,
the burrito.
manifold.
Yeah.
Yep.
We just won't be in a cool rig. We'll be in a rental car
Yeah.
from the rental agency.
That's basically what I do. We just heat stuff up on the engine, and like this year, Tim Jackson, which is one of the readers, he brought a whole bunch of summer sausage and handed it out. I had to stick a summer sausage. I ate
nice.
summer sausage and cheese for
Yeah,
lunch every day.
that's called a charcuterie board there, Robert.
Is that what that is? You
Yeah.
use the pocket knife that you just got.
Yeah.
done scraping some oil off of.
So what's your
You know.
what's your favorite non-wheeling like camping side UA story?
Camping side UA story?
Like just like
It
good
would-
times in the campsite.
Probably had to be 2016 because we had 3 awesome camps there. So we camped somewhere. I don't even know where we were. Like you have to look it up now. I don't remember. But it's like one of those campsites like up in the mountains in like Central California, and like we woke up to like nothing but mountains around us and sunrise coming over the mountains. It was just like one of them badass,
Oh yeah.
surreal things. And then the next one is where we camped on Rubicon. That night around the fire was a good time. So everybody was having a good time around the fire there. And Tom Boyd that year had a water balloon launching gun that he made.
That's
And we're over there
awesome.
screwing around, launching water balloons to the fire. And
That's
finally, one of the film guys got pissed because he about hit his freaking computer that he was editing
Oh, yeah.
Whoops.
with a water balloon.
Whoops.
So,
So that kind of ended that fun.
oh boy.
But that was a good night. And also on that same trip, we also camped on Fordyce, which was just crazy to wake up on Fordyce.
Oh,
Yeah, I can only imagine.
But
So
those are probably the best ones.
I know you mentioned that the southeast is your favorite place to off road and everything. Is what in particular about it makes is it just like a nostalgia thing because that's where you're living and that's where you're from, or is it the trails? Is it the camping? Like what about it makes it the best for you?
The trails. There are. Oh, I'm gonna get some flack with this if you have any West Coast people.
That's okay. We beef with
They're
them all the
hard.
time.
yeah.
The trails in the southeast are harder.
Yeah.
So
my
it's
mind.
so is it a because we have this argument with people all the time, and what we've always said is the East Coast trails are way more technical. Trying to drive over a rock in between 3 trees
That's wet.
is that's wet is always going to be way harder than the sandpaper rocks they have out west. They got gorgeous
Yes.
views, but the difficulty out here is insane.
From my observations over the years of seeing typical East Coast wheelers versus typical dry climate West Coast wheelers, an East Coast wheeler can wheel West Coast stuff no problem.
Mm-hmm.
You get a West Coast wheeler and bring them to the East Coast,
And they suck.
usually struggle.
Yeah.
That's a hot
They
take.
struggle.
Oh,
So do you find that it's is it the difficulty of the trail? Is it the getting through obstacles because obviously like we've seen a lot of guys wheel like try and wheel like full size trucks on the East Coast, which gets really hard driving through the forest, obviously, because they're so wide. Is it just the closeness of the trail, or is it the actual difficulty of the trail?
We're also talking to a full size guy right now.
Yeah.
yeah, but his full size survives the trail.
Yeah.
Yes.
This week, we'd like to thank our partners over at Rocktrix Wheels. Rocktrix has been independently manufacturing parts and accessories for the off-road industry for well over 10 years. Rocktrix offers the best high-quality, high-strength aluminum wheels for all of your off-road needs. Use code DIRTDRIVE5. That's DIRTDRIVE, then the number 5 for 5% off their entire website. You can find their website linked in today's show notes. Thank you, Rocktrix, for supporting today's show, and thank you to all of our listeners for supporting companies that support us.
It doesn't look as pretty.
His doesn't break tie rods.
Trust me.
So go ahead.
I'm going to say what it really is the East Coast, you can technical crawl something to an extent, but you always get to a spot where that doesn't work anymore.
You need
So
will
you
power.
have to start throttling, you start to have to bump things hard. And I don't think people that have wheeled exclusively dry climate West Coast stuff quite grasp how much throttle you really need.
Yeah.
Or
And
how
that's
much,
Especially
when I
if your
think they
gear
struggle.
ratio is for shit.
So of
and
the
how much you're allowed to use, because there's a line too that goes from not enough to too much real quick.
yeah.
So of the southeast parks that you've wheeled, what is your go-to, like,
Yeah.
if you're gonna go down there and wheel a park, which one is it?
It used to be Harlan for the longest time.
Yeah, it's not too far
Until
from us
the
either.
last time I went. And it's still a favorite of mine. And I'm going to get flack for this because I'm trying not to be this guy.
Be this
okay,
guy, man.
But
It's okay.
the side-by-sides have really tore up Harlan pretty bad.
They're tearing up. So yeah, not to bash on the side by sides, but they're tearing up everything.
Yeah,
They're
even
making-
the cove is getting torn up pretty good these days.
Yeah.
Hooligans.
And it's just, I don't know. Like some of the things we used to run and were fun have turned into just where it's damn near, I won't say impossible.
You
but
need
it
a
just
buggy,
makes it
though.
so difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's you're gonna break something.
So if it's not Harlan, then where's it at? Where's your go-to place?
My next place, believe it or not, is technically not in the southeast, and it's a little honey hole that I don't like talking about.
Don't
too
talk
much
about
because
it.
I
Yeah,
don't want
yeah.
to get ruined.
Don't
So
blow
what's
up the
your,
spot.
so what's your
But-
second favorite then?
Yeah, just
No,
just text it to
I'll
us.
tell you what it is. Good Evening Ranch in West Virginia.
Oh yeah,
That is our number one place to go right now.
So
Yeah.
we've got a friend. She crawls, and every time I see and talk to her, all she does is not rag on, but love on how good
Yeah,
Good
brags
Evening
about it.
Ranch is.
Yeah.
She brags about it. She's like, you got to get down there. You got to hit that
Yeah.
place. So yeah, because
The good thing about Good Evening Ranch too, not trying to be anti side by side, but it's not really on side by side guys' radar yet.
yeah.
Good.
So that's
a good thing.
That's one thing I really enjoy about, because we got Roush Creek 3 hours from us. I don't know if you've ever been up there, but Roush Creek does not allow side by sides in the park.
Yeah.
They've got another park for side by sides only, so it's just
yeah,
street vehicles or buggies.
I think we're gonna have to do a winter trip to Good Evening Ranch.
I think so.
That'd be a good one.
If you guys go to Good Evening Ranch, get a hold of my buddy Jack Sloan.
Okay.
He's Jack at Jack Off Road on Instagram.
Okay.
Good
Jack
Evening
off road.
Ranch is-
That's great.
Jack Off Road.
It took me a second. He did that on purpose, didn't he?
No.
That's fantastic.
So Jack, that's kind of his hometown stomping grounds, and he
Okay.
knows the place pretty good.
Okay. Yeah, we'll have to
He
get.
lives about 2 hours from it, an hour and a half from it.
It's about 4 or 5, I think, for us.
So where did that fall? Where did Good Evening Ranch fall this year on the UA? Was that like one of the last parks you guys went to?
Never made it up there. Nope.
Oh, I thought that
wow.
was on
So
the
I
list.
think nope. So I think the confusion with the Cove thing is we did go to
outside.
a cove, but it's called Coppinger's Cove in
Oh.
Tennessee.
That was
That's yeah. So we met Scott Dinger from BFG Tires at
Overland
Overland Expo, and he was
Mm-hmm.
he was also talking about Coppinger Cove
Yeah.
as one of his little honey holes to go and wheel. He said, "Don't leave your stuff out there, or it's going to get ravaged by the hill
Yeah.
people."
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
so that actually brings up a good question. Like, how do they deal with that with the places they go to if they know that it's kind of one of those places where you're like, hey, like don't leave your stuff out.
don't leave
kind
your
of
stuff out.
thing.
Just don't
but-
break down.
You don't leave your stuff there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Leave.
Yeah, and the big groups also keep people away.
yeah.
Yes.
So from us wheeling with big groups in the past, is it hard wheeling with a big group because it's such a slow day, or do you guys get through stuff pretty quick when you're out with people like who are literally not literally professionals, but almost professionals when it comes to wheeling and this type of stuff?
I'm going to put it this way with UA, and I might take some of the magic away, but it's basically you're just a actor in a giant movie production.
Yep.
So that takes first place. So if you got to stop and wait for camera placement, you're stopping and waiting for camera placement.
Yeah.
So generally, you run one trail during the day on a wheeling day, and that's it.
Okay.
Because you got to get 25 rigs up it, and you got to
Got to
get
get 25 through it with film crew.
Yeah.
Yep.
you got to get it the good shot.
I would imagine they're good trails though. They're not like you're not wasting a day on the access roads. You're getting
No.
something decent
And-
for your one trail.
And I think Trent is bringing the last couple years has brought UA back to its roots again, because in let's see, 19 and 20, 19 they went to Alaska.
Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
that was awesome.
19, and in 20 or 21, they did like Montana and all that
I
stuff.
think that was 20,
Yeah.
Yeah,
if I remember correctly.
Those years, I don't want to say they got soft, but it was a different style of wheeling. It
Yeah.
was more overlanding than it was traditional UA wheeling.
yeah, like
Yep.
hard rock crawling with road days. Other than
Yes. So like the last 2 years, like last year was Texas, we hit some legit stuff. Like it was some tough stuff that we ran. Matter of fact, the truck I was in spun the axle tube in the front end twice.
Twice?
how did you manage to fix that on the trails?
Chris Durham welded it back up after we twisted it back semi-straight.
How do you twist that back straight though? Winches and winches?
Bottle jacks.
Jesus Christ!
Don't take the magic out of it
You know, here's
because
the
it was
thing.
magic.
I have the axle in my shop now. I bought it off of
Oh, nice.
So cool.
Little wall art.
No, I'm gonna fix it. I'm gonna fix it and use it for something else.
Yeah, wall art.
Well, yeah.
Wall art for at least the next 10 years.
Oh yeah.
I've got
Yeah.
I got a bunch of those parts.
I got a set of tons sitting in Tom's side yard that have been there for 4 years.
They're my tons now.
Don't tell his wife.
They're mine now.
Future Tom Duck.
We have a verbal agreement. Those are mine.
Yes.
Man, yeah, that year it twisted. And the real reason it twisted the axle tube was later after we looked, the way he had his links set up, it was putting all of the rotational force through the one set of plug welds.
Yeah.
So that's why it eventually broke them and then started spinning the tube, because the way the links were set up, because it didn't have a truss on it and all the force was on one tube and the other one was just kind of out there. So this intersection busted it and twisted it.
So do you think you've got a good chance of being invited back on UA at any point in the future?
Probably the only way I'll get back again is either back as sponsor again or be a co-driver again, more than
Okay.
likely.
Okay.
Do you feel like you have a decent enough network with those guys that one of them may pick you up as a co-driver?
I got to find somebody that's going to be applying
Okay.
and that gets in that I know. So.
Okay.
You
But
like,
I always, I may have encouraged people in the past to apply. And
Yeah.
So
you're not expecting a call from Fred Williams to be a co-driver?
Yeah.
no, nothing like that.
do you get in
Fred's
with?
but
Go ahead.
go ahead.
Go ahead.
boy.
Fred now is an official crony now that
Right.
he's not an official
Sponsor.
TV host.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you get in wheeling with any of the YouTube guys at all? You going on like the ultimate field trip or what's the other one?
Trail Hero.
Trail Hero or Rocks Rollovers and
Flex Rockets.
No, I don't really get into any of those guys. I do have one buddy that knows Marvin and did one of his Rain of Rocks a few, I don't know, about a year or so ago. But other than that, I'm not really in with that crowd.
So you're staying off the social media, off this thing, and you're just wheeling for the love of wheeling.
Yeah, I don't really try to be like a quote unquote influencer.
Yeah.
But I just do what I do, and I post stuff on Instagram because, well, I want to.
Yeah.
Not because I have to.
Yeah, that's exactly what we do. Is like
Yeah.
we started the show because we sit around the shop, and people told us that
Constantly.
constantly that we're fun to listen to and we should have a podcast. So that's what we did, and that's the only reason that we're doing this.
Yeah.
We're not looking for any influence.
Yeah.
Because like we just love the love of wheeling. Like
Yeah.
that's what it is for us.
Plus all the drunk conversations around the campfire.
Yeah.
We're
We're fun, damn it.
Man, we should have recorded that.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
one's ever going to believe that we talked about this.
That's good. That's
Or came up with this idea.
what's your next?
I think
Go ahead. Sorry, I'm not good at this.
I think also the other thing is with me is I really like the UA style wheeling, and it's kind of a unique thing. Not everybody does it.
Yeah.
So like, how do you hook up with other people that do a completely different style wheeling thing when that's not really your thing? I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't mind going places and beating the crap out of like the Toyota or something I have. But,
So when you plan your own adventure wheeling trips with your crew, what do you guys? How are you mapping it? Like, how are you planning that trip?
Okay, the way I do it, because I've planned about 3 or 4 of the ones we've done over the years. I actually start almost a year ahead of time, figure out where I really want to go, and I do a lot of looking on Google Maps.
Okay.
I mean, a lot. Like, you get a rough idea, and you find out like parks you want to go to or areas you want to go to, and then you got to start figuring out, well, where are we going to camp, and then where we're going to go, and let's find some cool places. But I spend a lot of time doing that and looking on Google Maps to figure out a route to drive that isn't, just, avoid highways or, quickest route.
So you
Right.
you don't use any of these mapping softwares like Gaia or
Onyx.
or BFG on Trails or anything?
Honestly, no. I probably should be like, I use Onyx off-road all the time.
That's right.
But
No.
We're not
I
sponsored
don't.
either.
Yeah, they don't pay your checks. They don't pay our checks. Yeah,
Yeah.
Not yet,
I
at least.
actually use, because I've used it forever and I'm comfortable with it, I use Motion X GPS.
I thought he was going to say MapQuest.
No. I'm not printing my MapQuest directions out before I leave.
yeah. What is Motion X? I've never even heard of that one.
Motion X is a GPS tracking software just like Onyx or any of those others, but it's been around for a very long time.
Okay.
If it's been around so long, I've been using it since like 2014, so I have all these tracks on it, and to switch it over to something else,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
a pain in the ass.
Be a lot of clerical work copying from one to the other.
Yeah, and I've got Onyx, and I've got like elite memberships and all this other stuff that's like given to me, but I've never used it, even though I probably should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the other problem with Onyx is the East Coast. There's not a lot on there.
There's not
nothing.
There's
Yeah.
nothing.
Mm-mm. Matter of fact, my buddy Jack that I was talking to is, I think he's starting to map things for them. They approached him
Oh,
to start
nice.
mapping things when he goes out. So we'll see how that works out.
So as far as I guess when you plan your own trips, it sounds like you may differ a little bit from the UA model. So I imagine you guys probably don't look for really any hotels to stay in. You're planning your trip based around where you're going to be camping. It sounds like.
Correct, because we're super cheap asses.
Yeah.
That was going to be my next question. What kind of
camp
budget do you
every
work
night?
with?
And our trips are a little shorter, whereas UA's 7 days. Ours will start on a Monday and end on a Friday night.
Okay.
See, that gives us, because they'll give you Saturday and Sunday to get to the start, and they'll give you Saturday and Sunday the following week to get home.
Yeah.
Do you
So we do it for, Joe Blow like us and get a week off work, and you still have 2 days to get there and 2 days to get home.
do you plan it as a loop, or do you do an A to B?
Usually A to B.
Yeah. So pretty much everybody in your group's driving their rigs, and you're not dealing with trailers and trucks.
Most are, but we always have a trailer drop at the end or the
Okay.
beginning, depending on what they want. we'll find one for somebody who wants to trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But most everybody that goes on our trips don't trailer.
Okay.
I guess I'm gonna have to really work on the reliability of the old YJ.
Yeah, we gotta upgrade our rigs.
Yeah, we gotta.
Talking about reliability, that is probably one of the biggest keys to having a UA rig
Yeah.
to survive, is have one that you're not afraid to daily drive to work for, months on end.
I don't
If it
even-
can do that, it can do UA.
Yeah.
I'm afraid to drive it out of my garage right now.
Yeah, it's the whole keep it simple, stupid type thing. It's just gotta be gotta be
Yeah,
reliable.
yeah.
Nothing more, nothing less.
Yes.
And that's
Yep.
that's the whole anvil thing. Build it tough, build it strong. It's not gonna break.
How many packs of
Exactly.
zip ties?
Built GMC tough.
What do you, so every rig has a weak point. What is your preferred weak point if you're building a new rig? Like
None.
none. But if you,
Interesting. Okay.
so my weak point
Easiest
right,
part to fix is
Yeah.
your preferred weak point.
Yeah.
my weak point right now I think is my drive shafts.
Probably.
I think that's the weak point. So if you said, I mean, you don't think you have any weak points if it's breaking, it's catastrophic.
Oh, I have a weak point. If I'm going to break something, it's going to be front axle shafts.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Is that
That's
the
what's going to break on mine.
Is that
if
what
I
you-
break anything? I mean,
is that what you carry as a spare? Is front axle shafts? Like do you
No.
like, you don't,
He carries a welder.
so that you don't carry any spares then?
no, I have spare shafts, but I don't carry with them. So here's the other little secret, like UA or any of these type of week-long trips. Build your thing where it's common, easy to get parts.
Right.
Like before I went on UA this past year, I called up East Coast Gear Supply, called them and go, do you have in stock Chevy Dana 60 front shafts? Yep. If I needed them overnighted, what's the cutoff time? They told me the cutoff time and everything. So if I
Okay.
needed a front shaft, I call them up and get them overnighted to our next location, and I got front shafts. Why
nice.
carry them?
So you don't
yeah.
carry any spare parts then. You're literally just your
I
camping
could-
stuff and you're on the road.
I carry fuel pump, fuel filter, various U joints, and I carry a clutch slave and a clutch master, and one spare brake line, because the way I have it set up, one brake line will fit anywhere on my truck.
Right.
That's genius. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's-
So
Well,
basically stuff
you
that's going to
do
leave you
too.
stranded.
Yeah.
Yes. And my truck's known to eat fuel pumps, and it's known to eat slave cylinders. So
Know
I
when you're
carry
rigged,
those.
Yeah. Well, cool, man. One last question before we sign off.
Mm-hmm.
It's a question that we tried out last time with Sean and Don.
Oh yeah.
What is your dirt drive? What's your drive to get on the trails and to be out in the woods just having fun?
See different places I've never been before.
So it's the exploring thing.
Yes.
You love exploring. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yep,
that's
I love going places I've never been, but I also don't want it just to be a dirt road.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
What's your next big trip?
next big trip, I'm trying to think. If you want to call it a big one, won't be until maybe next summer, which will be our week-long trip.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm doing Go Devil Gun Run this year. We might be doing a East Coast Go Devil, but it won't be a long time. It'll be a couple days.
Well, cool, man. We appreciate having you on. That was awesome. Thank you so much for reaching out.
No problem.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't expect someone. I didn't expect anybody to reach out at all.
Really, I was anybody,
Yet
let alone
anybody
a complete stranger.
with stories as cool as yours and everything else. So we really appreciate you being on, and we look forward to seeing you out there on the trails at some point. If you ever end up back in Northern Virginia, Pennsylvania,
West Virginia.
anywhere in earshot of Virginia, give us a shout. We'll come wheel with you.
Oh, I'll probably be in West Virginia eventually again. I go to West Virginia probably more than I care to go.
We all feel that way, Robert. It's fine.
I got a bunch of buddies that live in West Virginia. Somehow I end up there freaking, end up wheeling with them or meeting them at Gideon
Yeah.
Ranch or something before the year's over, like every year. And I'm like, why do I end up here all the time?
Well,
It's,
cool.
it's a dirty little secret. It's fine. We'll
Yeah.
keep it for you.
Yeah. All right, man. We appreciate you being on, and we will.
All right, no problem.
So, do you have any social media links you want to drop or anything you want to promote while you're on?
I just got my normal Instagram. I do have a YouTube channel, but I don't do very much on it. I probably should do more. It's got the most ridiculous name ever.
Yeah, drop your links, man.
The YouTube channel's current name is Grandpa Cheapo's Garage.
Nice.
Nice. I like that one.
Yeah. I'm thinking about doing a name change on it, but right
No,
now
keep
it's
it.
fine.
Yeah, no,
Sounds good.
I like
Good
that
one.
one. That's a good one.
Yeah. Then on
But,
Instagram, you're what?
R Keller 51.
Okay.
Okay.
So yeah, go ahead and give
I
this.
know I was not born in 1951. I'm not that old.
Go ahead and give him a follow, guys. We appreciate everyone listening, and we will see you guys next week. Thanks.